Well, yeah, look at this portage. Wait, it's not in Portage. I'm in Arizona. But this is how I keep in shape for portaging on the Boundary Waters. I hike here in Arizona since I'm here 6 months to keep my legs in shape. So let's kind of explore some of the trails that I hike on to build my portage legs. Oh boy. The saguaro cactus against the Arizona sky. Interesting fact, it takes about 70 years of growth before the first arm pops out. So these things are really old and protected here in the state of Arizona. And yeah, I'm very fortunate that I live within just a few miles of all these parks where you can do the hikes. The interesting thing is most of the hikes are 3 or 4 or 5 miles, but they do have huge elevation gains. I'm talking about 300 to 500 feet within the first mile and a half, 2 miles. So it's a great workout for your legs, preparing you for those lovely Boundary Water portages. All right, let's go on. Well, how's that for a boulder field? I'm about a quarter mile in, and my car is way down there. So the elevation changes are really, pretty aggressive. So it's a good hike to build your legs. Besides, it's beautiful. Just beautiful. I'm about a third of a mile in on this particular trail over in Deems. And again, my car is way down there. But this is why I love my trekking poles. And this is why also, when you see me portage, I always carry a canoe paddle. Just because I'm so used to hiking with my trekking poles that I find the canoe paddle, even with a canoe on or a pack on, gives me just a little bit of extra safety and balance. It's just beautiful out here. The desert does have its own beauty. It certainly does. There's an old one. Flowers in February. And we're going all the way down there. The climb for today is over. Love Arizona. All right, these fluffy little things are called jumping choyas. The rumor is if you get too close, your static electricity will make it move and attach itself to you. But in reality, it drops these little pieces so it blows around. And then these things will take root and grow others. But they're just gorgeous. But again, they're not very cuddly. So don't try to cuddle them. All right, I'm gonna kind of walk this down here. We're on the saddle before I start going down, probably 3/4 of a mile in. You know, I do this 6 days a week. I hike 3 to 5 miles just to keep my legs in shape. And I have yet to see a critter other than lizards. There's some more jumping choyas with spider webs in between them. The other thing is these trails are just covered with decomposed rock. So it's got all kinds of scree on it. So if you hit it, you slide and end up on your backside, which is not very cool. All right, let's go down. Well, here's an interesting tree. It's called a Palo Verde, I believe. It never gets leaves. The photosynthesis happens through the bark on it, which is green. So no leaves in the Palo Verde. Now we head to a bunch of switchbacks. And that's where we just came from. Going down, down, down. Yep. Gotta love switchbacks. Gotta love switchbacks. This whole side of the mountain's just full of them. They get you up there. It's a good sweat. It's actually Saturday, Valentine's Day. And it's probably about 70 degrees. Probably 5 o'clock p.m. Beautiful. All right, we're down. There was a saddle I stopped at and looked at the teddy bear cacti and came down here and zigzagged, zigzagged, came over and down. Now, interestingly, just like the Boundary Waters, the trail maintenance crews here come in and cut these little diversions in for water. Yeah, I said water. Yeah, I said Arizona. Because when it rains out here, it pours. I don't know if you see it. There's someone up there hiking. That was a ridge that we came in on. Zigzagged here and came down. So now it's a cool down. We got roughly about a third of a mile that's fairly flat. So you can kind of stretch your legs and get some speed under you. But this is probably an even 2 1/4 to 2 1/3 miles. Elevation change is about 500 feet, so your legs can get a good workout. And you get to practice your rock garden skills. All right. That's a creosote bush. That's what they make creosote out of. Now come June, this will all be dead. And it's a wonderful tinder for fires. Again, this is about maybe 6 miles from my house. Good workout. Huh. Wonder what all these little holes are from. Well, I don't want to find out. Again, on the final stretch, cool down. All right, in case you ever wonder, here's what a dead saguaro cactus looks like. Interesting thing is they have all these splines or ribs that were used by the Native Americans to build things. These are pretty robust. Yeah, that's a dead swallow. And they're usually absolutely filled with scorpions. So you gotta be careful. That's why I'm using my stick. All right, back to the car. All right. Yeah, pretty scary here to hike in the summer. Pretty scary. All right. Let's go home.